What's up, guys? Synthetic Division here. So we're back. We've got the Gamma Duo. Um, Plan is we're going to try to cool it down. As if you remember from the previous video, the voltage regulator was undervolted and getting too hot, and it's still in that high range around 68 to 70 degrees. I did switch it out of the Solo Satoshi case, mainly because I didn't want to have to cut the back again. I did that on two other Solo Satoshi, and I was like, man, I should have just put it on one of these, but I didn't have one of these at the time. So this is just your generic Bitaxe stand, Gamma stand. So remember that the Duo 650 is the same form factor as a Gamma 601. It's just a dual Asic one that's a little bit more efficient, but it does get a lot warmer. They do include a heatsink on the front, so I'm not going to do anything there. I think we're okay. Checking the thermals. I've got my trusty thermal gun here. So if we go ahead and just turn it around, we're going to point right at the voltage regulator. Almost 50 degrees, 47 degrees. The two caps right there, 50 degrees. These four caps right here, 44 degrees. Inductor coil, 45. And then interesting enough, the caps on the back of the Asics, 41. So I may put one on there just to see if it helps. This chip right here is also hot. So that's the plan. We're going to heat sink everything we can. I'm not going to touch the Asics yet. I'm going to wait for a separate test for that. It'll be in this video, but it's going to be a separate test. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. I'm using aluminum heat sinks, mainly because I'll show you there's going to be an interesting tidbit that we're going to have to go over. So let's go ahead and get this unplugged. And we're off. And then I'm going to take the two screws that I have holding it on off. I just put it on this stand because it was much easier to deal with. And then, like I said, I don't have to cut the back out of it. I feel bad cutting the back out of a new stand. It's kind of a bummer. So the plan is I'm actually going to connect one heatsink with these two right here. And this will work perfectly right there. And it's a little bit lower profile so that I can still get my buck converter one on right there. And then I'm going to place one of these small heat sinks like this over these, and then one there on this chip right here. We're going to try to cool the whole back end of this thing if we can. So I basically told you where I'm going to put them. I'm going to put them on, and then we'll get it powered back up. So hang on a second. Let's go ahead and put the heat sinks on. Okay, guys, so here we go. We've placed one on this chip here. These two caps, and the buck converter, and then the inductor coil right there. So let's go ahead, power it up. Make sure nothing freaks out and shorts out. Don't want anything bad to happen. Again, I'm using these ones with pre-installed thermal pads. For any of the Bitaxe series, I don't recommend using this style. This is thermal glue with heat sinks. It's too easy to short something out with those, so just avoid those. These aluminum heat sinks are pretty cheap. So we're going to get it powered up. We're going to let it cook in. I'm going to go eat my dinner while this cooks in, and we'll see what happens after 30 to 40 minutes. So hang in there, guys. We'll be back in a little bit. Okay, guys, so we're back. Had to go eat dinner, hang out a little bit. So we got it set up like that. It's still pretty warm, even with heat sinks on there. Running about, right now it's running at 66 and 53. So we're going to introduce a fan to the back of it and see if that just brings it down. That's still probably 4 to 5 degrees Celsius lower. And remember, according to spec, we're technically slightly overclocked. So we're going to introduce a fan to the back of it. I'm going to move it into the other room for now. I have some pretty cool stuff coming. I ordered from a place in England that has some really neat heat sinks ideas. So stay tuned for that. This is more of a temporary setup. We'll see if it stays temporary, I should say. I'm real curious about it, but yeah. What I do want to do real quick before I move it, I actually want to test the heat sinks on the back side of the Asic chips where these two capacitors are underneath each Asic. and see if that helps reduce some of the Asic temp. Again, it's still a little high. I don't foresee being able to overclock the Duo very well, aside from maybe uh, submersion or something like that, immersion cooling, or a water cooler maybe. I'm not really sure. That's out of my ballpark, but my goal is to try to cool this on the cheap if I can. I do have some different style heat sinks coming that we might try on this to make it work. But let's put some on the back of that, on the back of those two caps on the back of the Asic. Let's take a reading real quick there too before we do that. Let's fire up the heat gun or the thermometer. Tilt it forward. Yeah, those things are still pretty toasty. Yeah, we're 41, 42 heatsink right there. It's 39. So I think honestly introducing air like the jetpack would do from the Avoid bit track rack, I think that'll help a lot. So let's go ahead. We'll move it to the other. We're going to put two more heat sinks on there. We'll pause the video and then we'll check back and see if that helps. Hang on there 1 second, guys. Okay, guys. Well, the final test was putting a couple of small heat sinks right there on top of those caps just to see if we can reduce a little bit of that temperature. I'm more curious about what that's going to do to the Asic when I put air behind it, for example, with like the jetpack. But let's go ahead. We're going to get this moved over. We got it dropped down about 3 degrees, so not bad actually. So we'll move it into the storage room and get it set up on its little spot. And I'll put the fan to the back of it, and we'll see if we can keep this thing cool. This is going to be a tough one, guys. I don't think this is going to be a very, how do you say, overclockable device. I think you're going to run into trouble with this one. This one just undervolted out of the box, and it runs really hot. It might be a troublesome one to overclock, and maybe I'll have to make a solid attempt at it. But let's get it moved real quick, and we'll continue in there. Okay, so we have it in its testing position. I'm just using one of these red LED fans. I have it on this power supply right here that's controlling fans. If you remember, it controls the fan setup for my power supplies, just to kind of keep them cool. It's actually 69 degrees in here, so it's actually warmed up a little bit. So not, it's almost the same temperature as my other room is. So we'll see if this helps. The fan on the back helps. I'm sure it will. It was helping earlier. So we're going to pause it. We'll come back in like 10 minutes and we'll look at the thermals and kind of wrap this up. Okay, we're back, guys. Now you might be saying, hey, this isn't the Gamma Duo. No, this is the GT801 from Solo Satoshi as well. Gamma Duo is doing well. I'll show you right there. We're doing okay. 45C, 43C. That's much better, guys. So definitely if you plan to just, honestly, I would recommend with the Duo, just get it taken care of. Seriously. Um, I cannot stress it enough. Get those heat sinks put on and get some air behind it. If you don't, there is a solid chance it could wear itself out sooner than rather than later. So I would yeah, that's where I'm going to stay with it. I think I love the idea. It's super efficient if you can get it to stay cool. Um, like right now, let's look at it. We're 25 watts. So even on a stock power brick, it's getting too close to that 80% or 80% rule. But honestly, I think it'll be fine. Just get it cooled off. That's my best recommendation for you guys. Anyways, guys, this will be up here coming up in the next video. I just got it set up and got it running. Can't wait to see what it does. So far, it's doing okay. It had a little bit of a heat issue too, but we'll get to that in the next video. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate taking time. If you've had any experiences with any of your devices overheating, put it down in the comments. I'd like to read about it. I'd love the feedback. And any ideas, shoot them my way. I'm always happy to try something new. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe. Peace out.